Hi, I'm a fee-only financial planner, and in my experience in dealing, I deal primarily with women. In my experience, by the time they're 25, a lot of them are already in big trouble between student debt and consumer debt, especially with consumer debt. And so I was wondering why you're starting at 25 with your piggy bank, yes.
That's a great question, and quite a bit of research went into deciding what our target audience would be. And we found, in what we've seen today, there's great value in educating college students, and particularly that teachable moment with that senior survival course that Dorothy talked about. But how you talk and communicate and educate college students in the research that we did, we found was very different than how you talk to young adults. And so we chose that 25 to 34-year-old group because there are so many life stages, and we saw that, in all the presentations, that those are really teachable moments. So they are starting their careers, starting families, buying homes, getting married. And so, you know, one thing I'm sure we can all agree on is that there's not one size fits all to financial education. And so trying to, for a large age group, so trying to focus that down, and so honing our message and to that target audience we thought would be more effective than increasing the age population.
I was just wondering if there's any kind of like evaluative research, like the work that Joanne and Anya were doing on like non-retirement focused financial education, because it seems like you mentioned, there's this gap where young people know that they need to save for retirement, and now they're using that as their emergency savings fund. So like, are there materials that have been evaluated that focus on those other types of like savings and money management?
I actually would turn that over to the other panelist. I am, your question is specifically about the evaluation of other resources, non-retirement focused resources. If you don't mind, I'd like to turn it over to the panelists for their thoughts on that.
Hi, yeah, so our focus in this project was on retirement specifically because, and this was a question of choosing the target and sort of focusing on an issue, but we do acknowledge that there's a host of other problems, particularly I think student loans and consumer debt, that are very relevant for this age group. So certainly I think we acknowledge that the issues are really important. There are not really a number of resources out there that we're aware of that really have tested, and even for retirement savings, in a very rigorous scientific way, the efficacy of financial education materials for this group. I think there is a growing number of them, and some of those resources actually are on the NIFI website if you'd like to see them. So for the small number of things that are out there, we do have a great resource, and I'm sure Billy will speak to some of that. And Anya, I think, has a couple of things to say probably because she is also working on a number of other interventions that are relevant.
So as Joanne said, our particular focus in 5 steps was on the long-term planning, but I have another field experiment project that's underway with other co-authors looking at targeting low and moderate new homebuyers with an intervention that combines several different visual modules that are focused more on budgeting and including credit card debt and short-term savings as well as long-term savings. So I can send you the link to that pilot site as well. But in terms of the visual tools, this is a pretty new area as well, and the videos as well. So we're kind of doing all of that work, and it's hard to know where to start because there are a lot of problems in financial capability in a lot of different areas.
I think in general there's a lack of knowledge and sophistication about evaluation, period. And we're asking people who know very little about the complexities of evaluation to evaluate. And one of the things that we were able to provide at NIFI is an evaluation toolkit that was developed, and it focuses community-based educators, nonprofit organizations that want to do evaluation, where people can kind of build their own, and explains what why do you need to ask certain questions in a certain way? Knowledge questions versus behavior change questions versus confidence. So we have that tool available to people to hopefully help build capacity within those contexts. But we have a long way to go.
Thank you very much. My name is Sue Rutledge. I work at the World Bank, and I run a global program on consumer protection and financial literacy. So from a practitioner's perspective, I have a question for you, actually, Dorothy. I like very much your idea of thinking about learning about financial literacy by using mathematics. This is actually one of our standard recommendations, because when we're working in developing countries, we're looking for things that can be done very efficiently and very cost efficiently. And this seemed to us to be a logical approach, so we're very pleased to see you doing that. My question to you is, I'm wondering if you're also looking to take it a little further and to use the approach of maybe the Khan Academy, where they have these kind of little bite-sized videos that are basically classroom sessions, but that allow the student to test their understanding as they go along and to make sure they haven't accumulated a whole lot of gaps in their ways of thinking. It seems to me that would be a very efficient approach. And it's also culturally less sensitive than some of the other videos, so it's more transferable to other countries.
Okay, thank you for the suggestion. I'll have a look at the Khan Academy. And I'd be interested in talking to you some more about that. I mean, because we had a very specific audience in mind, because that's the audience we understand, right? And it would be great if our stuff worked for a broader group of people and in a more independent way. And I should say that one of the tests of the investment modules was done at Bowdoin College as a self-study. Go read these, learn the answers to these questions, do your homework, and then I'll give you a quiz. No classroom business at all, just totally self-study. And it worked okay, as that, but it wasn't built to be done that way. So it might be good to build some stuff that really could be used completely independently.
I just want to thank the participants again in this panel for their presentations and incredibly useful and insightful information. With that, I've been told we are only going to take a 5-minute break. So